Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is once again time for us to sit down together and have another long, verbose, and in-depth discussion about some video games. Now, if you're looking at this one stack and thinking, oh, that's a small collection of Xbox 360 games, well, let me just turn this. Yeah, okay, so there's multiple stacks over here. In this stack you just saw, there's actually a stack behind that. So we're gonna be here for a minute. I think one of my favorite parts of these collection videos is getting to go through the piles in an order that I'm not used to. Because usually when I see all these games on my shelf, obviously they're in alphabetical order. But when I bring them over here, they kind of fall out of that order. So we're gonna grab like half a stack at a time and just try to deconstruct this. Because again, I don't even know how many games are here necessarily, but we got a lot to go through. So I can't necessarily go as in depth about each game as I normally would in a smaller collection because we'd be here for hours. I mean, unless you guys want something. I mean, I could do that. We could be here for like 2 or 3 hours if you want. I mean, I don't care. I'm just trying to, save you your time. But anyway, first up, we got The Amazing Spider-Man 2. In my opinion, this is a very underrated game. In fact, I'm not even going to say in my opinion, I'm just going to say in general. This is a really underrated game. It's a lot of fun. I know the first game kind of caught some flack for specifically like the web slinging mechanics and the open world in general, and then how motion sick inducing that camera could be, man, because of how it followed you was really weird. But I feel like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the closest that we got to like an Insomniac-style Spider-Man game before we even had an Insomniac-style Spider-Man game, because this was released in 2014. Obviously, when the Spider-Man games were still being published by Activision, so we had it here on like the Xbox 360, for example. I also have this game on my Wii U, which a Wii U collection is one that I'll have to do here soon. But anyway, yeah, I absolutely love this game. It follows the events of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie, but it also deviates a bit and goes on to do its own thing, obviously, if you played the game before. I'm not going to spoil it, but then it has like a pretty iconic Spider-Man villain that ends up coming in, and yeah, I love this game. It's not too long, and out of all the Spider-Man games, this is one that's actually not that expensive if you get it on, say, the Xbox 360 or the PS3 or the Wii U. Like, I'm pretty sure the last-gen versions are still relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things. It's just that Xbox One and PS4 version that have, unfortunately, been scalped a bit when it comes to price, just because that's how the second-hand market is, which is really unfortunate. Next up, we have Skyrim. Now, honestly, here's the thing. I didn't play Skyrim a whole lot back in the day when it was in its prime, per se, like when it was first releasing, when everybody was real hyped and talking about it and whatnot. I didn't really get to play it a whole lot until later on. But that being said, Skyrim is obviously an absolutely amazing game. In fact, it's such an amazing game that I have it on the Xbox 360, I have it on the PS3, I have it on my Xbox One, and I have it on my PS4/PS5, and I believe I also have it in my PC and on the, my Steam collection. So yeah, the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is an absolutely amazing game, and it's such an amazing game that it's very similar to GTA 5 in the way that even though the wait between this game and Elder Scrolls 6 has been very, very long, I would say that I'm confident it will be worth it once it does release, just because the Elder Scrolls games are always of such a high quality, and Skyrim obviously set a pretty high standard that I'm sure Bethesda is working as hard as they can to reach or surpass in some way. But no matter how good Elder Scrolls 6 is, I just feel like there's such a storied history and such a iconic timelessness to Skyrim that no matter what they put out next, Skyrim will always just be special in its own way, similar to Morrowind and Oblivion. I don't know if I'm the only person. Every time I try to say Morrowind, I end up stuttering over it for some reason, kind of as you saw just there. I don't know what Morrowind. I don't know why. It's just there's some words in the English language that are just hard for me to say. I mean, English is my native language, but I have like an easier time speaking Japanese for some reason, even though I'm Korean. It's like it's a whole thing. It's like a whole web of different things. I don't make any sense as a person. Let's just put it as it is. Next up, we got the Godfather 2, which is a game that I would say is also pretty underrated, similar to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Similarly, it's obviously, this one isn't necessarily a movie tie-in game. It's just a licensed game that happens to follow the events of the movie, sort of. Like, I don't know how else to explain that. The Godfather 1, if I had to be honest, which I do also have in my collection, I have that game multiple times on multiple platforms as well. I do prefer the first game, if I'm gonna be honest, probably just some nostalgia bias there, but the second game is also really good in its own way. It's just that the second game becomes a little bit grindy towards the end, because you basically have to 100% the game to beat the game, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, it was a fun process, but it still kind of was like a bit of a halt in the story. But at the even then, it didn't take that long to beat. I'm pretty sure I beat the game within like 8 to 12 hours, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. It's a really great game. It's a lot of fun. The open world's a lot of fun to go through. It expanded on a lot of the elements from the first game, but just kind of, iterated on them, and, opened up the sandbox aspect of the game a lot more, because the first game was a bit more linear and it was still an open world game, but it was an open world game in the same way that GTA 3 is an open world game, where yes, it's an open world, but what are you really doing in that open world? Not that there's nothing to do, it's just that you're probably not going to be doing a whole lot. You're probably just there for the story for the most part, and maybe causing chaos here and there. But the Godfather 2 was similar to, I'd say, maybe like GTA 4 in the way that it kind of opened things up for you and expanded on a lot of the elements of it. And one thing that I've always loved about the Godfather games over, say, something like GTA is the fact that, you know, in GTA, you know, you can go and rob a store and that's cool and all, but in Godfather, you know, you can take over those stores, which is obviously part of the whole mob theme and everything, and the mafia theme. From that time period. So I've always loved The Godfather, both the movies and the games, and it would be really cool to see if we could get even just like a spiritual successor to it. Obviously, it would probably be hard to make an actual Godfather game nowadays because of licenses and whatnot, but I still think that'd be pretty cool. Anyway, I'm taking a long time, and if I keep going at this pace for every game, we're going to be here forever, so I need to pick it up a little bit. Next up, we have Lego Indiana Jones, which is one of my favorite Lego games, but also on the back, Kung Fu Panda, which is also one of my favorite movie tie-in games of all time. This is another game, both of these games actually I had on PS2 back in the day, and I only just bought the 360 version here a couple of years ago, just because I wanted to see what these games looked like in HD, because obviously I grew up with like the 480i versions, you know, I'd say 480p, but actually a lot of PS2 games were 480i. And, yeah, you know, so it was really cool seeing these games in HD for the first time, and they're a lot of fun. I don't think that dual pack goes for a lot nowadays, and I definitely recommend it, especially for Kung Fu Panda. You know, it's a movie tie-in game that is very faithful to the movie, but it's also just a lot of fun in its own right. There's a lot of different, like, combos and unlockables and, you know, just cool platforming segments in that game that I always really got down with, so, yeah, I definitely highly recommend that one. Next up, we have Lego Batman 2, which is one of my favorite Lego games of all time. My favorite Lego games are Lego Batman, the first one, Lego Star Wars, and, like, the Complete Saga. And then after that, I don't know, it'd kind of be hard for me to start ranking them from there. There's a lot of great Lego games, but Lego Batman 2 is definitely up there for me. It was the first Lego game to not only have an open world, but to also have voice acting, which was really cool to see. And overall, man, I've always really loved Lego Batman 2, as well as Lego Batman 3, even though that game was a bit more divisive. Also, that's one thing I need to say. Some of the games are missing from my collection because I was one of those stupid teenagers where I would sell my games to GameStop for pennies in order to put it towards other things, and I really do regret it. And one of the other games I had that I sold at one point was Lego Batman 3. I also had Battlefield 4 on Xbox 360 at one point, but I sold it. I mean, I got it back on my Xbox One, so at least I got the next-gen version, but still just sad that I ever did that. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is another one I sold at one point, but I rebought it a couple years ago. But yeah, Lego Batman 2, love this game. The only thing that I will say is that the first Lego Batman has always been my favorite, just because it was more focused on Batman and the Batman world, whereas I feel like Lego Batman 2 and 3 are more just Lego Justice League, if that makes sense. It's not a bad thing, it's just, you know, I kind of prefer, I guess, the first game just because it really hones in on that Batman vibe, and it's very similar in tone to Batman 89, which is my favorite superhero movie of all time. It goes back and forth between like that and Spider-Man 2 for me, but Batman 89 is probably like my all-time favorite just because it's the first superhero movie I watched and I love the tone of it. But anyway, I'm also very excited for the new Lego Batman game coming out, the Dark Knight one. That one looks really cool. I'm really excited to play through that. As soon as I saw it announced during Gamescom, I was like, I was all in on it. I'm so excited. Next up, we have Injustice, which is my favorite fighting game of all time. I had to think for a minute. I was like, is there another fighting game? Like, Street Fighter 2 definitely is up there, but Injustice is definitely my all-time favorite. Like, just running through the list again. Yeah, nothing tops Injustice 1 for me in terms of fighting games. I love this game so much. Injustice 2 is really good, don't get me wrong, but there's something about that first game, man. It's genuinely, I genuinely like this game more than the second one. Not because the second one's bad, not because it did anything wrong, but just because I love the story here and I love how gritty this game feels. I feel like with Injustice 2, it's running on the Mortal Kombat 11 engine, I believe, but there's something about the MK9 engine, and especially in the Injustice 1 engine, where everything feels so gritty. Every time you land a punch, you feel like you're just shoving your freaking fist through through like their bones, man. And it's so satisfying. And I again, like the story in this game too, the whole thing of the parallel universes, which is something that we've seen in like Mortal Kombat games before, but Injustice did it really well. You know, you have like the regime side of things, and then you have the Prime versions of them, and then like, you know, later on, once you get into like Injustice 2, you know, that kind of gets like iterated on, and there's all this crazy like galaxy level stuff. But Injustice 1 is a game that I will always hold near and dear, not just the console version of it, but also the mobile version of it. It was basically a gacha game, I guess you could say, like a gacha card collecting game, but it was still like a fighting game, and you like leveled up your characters and their moves and whatnot. I still have my account from back in the day, both my Android account and my Apple account version of it, because that was back when, before games had like crossplay and everything, so I had two different accounts. One on my crappy Android tablet, one on my iPod Touch, and yeah, I'll always love Injustice 1, man. That game has such a special place in my heart. 2013, what a year to be alive. Hitman Absolution, another game where I'm gonna say it. I know people dunk on this one. They don't like it as much as the other Hitman games. I love Hitman Absolution, dude. I loved the villain in this game. He was like that cowboy guy with that weird southern accent. He was always really charismatic. Loved him. And overall, I really enjoyed the gameplay in this game. And I remember they had, I believe it was called Contracts, I want to say it was called. Do they have it on the back here? Yeah, create your own contracts and challenge the globe. Yeah, they had the main mode, which is like the Absolution story mode, but then they had contracts where you could play these levels that other players created, and you know, sometimes they set you up with certain costumes or outfits. And I remember there was this one where it puts you in Chinatown in a chicken suit with a machine gun, and I would just shoot everybody. That's all I would do, man. I didn't play correctly. I just shot everybody. But I also had this game on PS3 because actually, I believe originally I got it on PS3 at my dad's back when I still saw him, and I played this game a ton. I've always loved the Hitman games, just like going up behind people without wire. And that's another thing I always loved about the Godfather games, which I'll talk about later. In the first Godfather game, it gives you one of those wires, so you can just go up behind people. I've always loved those things. But anyway, yeah, I always loved Hitman Absolution. The story was really cool, and it was that nice blend of, yes, stealth action, but also just straight up action when it needed to be there. And I also loved the concept of him basically being on the run in this game. I've always loved that. Those kind of stories where somebody's on the run, they're being chased by somebody, they get betrayed, etc. I've always loved stuff like that. So I love Hitman Absolution, no matter what anybody says. Another controversial game that I love is Halo 4. I know a lot of people look at Halo 4. Oh, I think the disc is loose. Oh, never mind. Oh, look at that. I got an Xbox Live trial in here. Hold up. Does anybody need... Hold on. When does it expire? I don't think it says when it expires. If anybody needs 14 days of Xbox Live Gold, which may or may not be converted to the new thing, there you go. There's a code on the back. I haven't used it. So if you need it, there you go. Hopefully it's focused enough. If it didn't focus, it's PY234 K7 BWG 6X TPK JRQRC TWYWX. So, yeah, if it's still working, feel free to take that. But anyway, Halo 4. I played... This is going to be surprising, but I played the campaign in Halo 4 more than I played the multiplayer, which I know is probably going to be surprising. But I always loved Halo 4, man. It came out at a time in my life. It was around Black Ops 2, I remember. 2020. Do they have a year on the back of this? I want to say, yeah, 2012. Yep, it was the same year as Black Ops 2. Yeah, but I always loved Halo 4, man. I don't even know how to put it into words necessarily. There's just something about the game where when I see that cover art, I'm just taken back to a different place in time. And for me, Halo 4 was the last Halo game where it came out, and I remember getting all excited for it. And, you know, I still get excited for the new Halo games, obviously. But I just mean in the sense of that childhood joy of nothing in my life matters right now. I have no responsibilities, there's no drama, there's no financial trouble. It's just, I'm looking at this Halo game, and I'm excited to play it. And Halo 4 was the last time that I really got to do that, because by the time Halo 5 came out, I was, you know, a bit older, and by the time Infinite came out, I was obviously well into my adulthood. So, you know, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy things as an adult or that I don't get excited for things anymore. It's just that even through the excitement, there's always a bit of a haze over it, just because life does what life does, and, you know, there's nothing any of us can really do about it. But, man, I have such a special place in my heart for Halo 4. Such an amazing game between the campaign and the multiplayer and everything else about it. That game's just freaking awesome. And let's talk about the graphics in that game. It looked really good for an Xbox 360 game. I genuinely love it. Next up, we have two games which I'll talk about at the same time, those being GTA 4 and GTA 4 Episodes from Liberty City. GTA 4 being my favorite GTA story of all time. You know, the story of Nico Bellic and him coming to America and finding his way here and getting involved in the life of crime. You know, the open world in this game was really cool. The driving mechanics were always a bit, well, you know, if you know GTA 4's driving mechanics, you know GTA 4's driving mechanics. It's kind of like driving a steamboat on wheels. But that being said, I always really appreciated this game for not being afraid to be itself and having those I guess you could say, controversial mechanics or different mechanics. And then also episodes from Liberty City. I always loved these, Lost and Damned, as well as The Ballad of Gay Tony. I think Lost and Damned is probably my favorite between the two of them, just because I like gritty stories. Saying gritty stories just reminds me, another Xbox 360 game I sold at one point was Watch Dogs, the first one. Again, another game I got on Xbox One, but still just makes me sad that I sold some of those games. I kind of want to rebuy some of those games that I sold, even though I have them on newer platforms, just to kind of pay some homage or respect to younger me and be like, hey, these are the games that you gave up, but take them back now. You know, even if I have them on newer consoles. But anyway, no, I'm really drawn to gritty stories like Watch Dogs, which is why it came to mind, Max Payne 3, which we'll get to later, or Lost and Damned. Like gritty, grounded stories like that, or just GTA 4 in general, you know, the main story with Nico. I love stories like that are real, they're gritty, they're not afraid to be themselves, and it's real, you know, so... Love that. Also, we can start to talk about one of my least favorite things about Xbox 360 collecting, and we haven't really seen it yet, but it's, you know, like Platinum Hits cases. This one is fine. This one, like, isn't a big deal at all. This, on the spine, little annoying, but I can live with it. Personally, if I could have my collection perfect, it would just look like this. Just all normal Xbox 360 cases. But the Platinum Hits kind of obviously starts to mess that up, and then you get to the older ones where the cases were gray, and we'll get to that later, but... Yeah, so the default Xbox 360 case is my preferred one, but, you know, the later Platinum Hits I can somewhat kind of live with. Next up, we have Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my most played and one of my favorite Fallout games of all time. I've always loved New Vegas. I remember the first time I played this game, I played it on Xbox 360, and then later I played it on PC on my crappy laptop. That was actually able to run it since Bethesda games aren't that demanding. And I just remember I didn't even follow the story at first or the main path. I went off into the desert, and I was just like walking towards, I don't even remember where I ended up at. I think I did finally end up at the casino and everything like that. It took a lot of walking, but I just remember walking around, encountering people, starting up some trouble, shooting people here and there, and obviously I did go through and actually play it the right way eventually. And Fallout New Vegas is just such a great game, man, and it's so different from the other Fallout games too. I mean, all the Fallout games really are different. Fallout New Vegas is somewhat similar to Fallout 3, but still does a lot of its own things. Fallout 4 is obviously a lot different than the first few Fallout games. Aren't even anything like these because they're top-down tactical type games basically. But yeah, Fallout New Vegas is awesome, and I would love if one day we could get not even just a sequel to it, but a spiritual successor to it, also made by Obsidian. Because they made Fallout New Vegas, whereas like the main guys of Bethesda made like Fallout 3, 4, etc. But they let Obsidian make New Vegas, and then Obsidian went off to make Outer Worlds, and just recently Outer Worlds 2. I didn't get to play Outer Worlds 2 yet, just because I haven't had a lot of time to game recently, unfortunately. I've just been working a lot, but I really enjoyed the Outer Worlds 1, and I'm really excited to play that new one, just because Obsidian is really good at what they do. Next up, we have a game that's kind of weird to talk about on its own, so I'm going to grab from another part of the pile. These being Fable 2 and Fable 3. Fable have always been some of my favorite RPGs, action RPGs, whatever you want to call them. Starting on the original Xbox, which I already showed. I do have the original one on original Xbox. But then here on Xbox 360, I also have these as well. I know they have Fable Anniversary, but personally, I prefer the art style, the look, and the feel of the original Fable on original Xbox over Anniversary. I tend to be that way, though. I don't really do the whole remaster thing if I can help it. Like, I don't have anything against remasters or remakes or anything. In fact, I usually go out of my way to play them if I enjoy the original game, just so I can see what they changed, experience the game on new hardware, etc. But for my first time playing through a game, I always go for that vanilla experience, just so I can get that feeling of like, okay, what was this game like on launch day? But that being said, Fable 2 and 3, I'm not too familiar with if any of these are controversial or anything. I think I remember hearing some things about Fable 3 maybe being a bit controversial for one reason or another, but I might be wrong about that. Might be thinking of something else, but I love all the Fable games, really. I really do. They're really unique, and I love how, especially in that first game, man, I remember the first game blowing me away just because of how much choice you had and how unique the game was. Like, I feel like when I talk about Fable, the only word I can use for it is unique, just because of, I mean, you know, the word speaks for itself, how unique it is, compared to anything else that you'll ever play. So, if you haven't played Fable before, it is on Game Pass, so, you know, it's backwards compatible and everything. If you want to play, you have to play Fable Anniversary, unfortunately, rather than the original one. I don't know if they added the original one ever, but I think it's just Anniversary on there still, but you have that, and then the other two Fable games. Definitely recommend playing those. And they do have a reboot or, like, a spiritual successor of some kind coming out to that soon under the same name, so we'll see how that is and how that goes. Next up, we got Aragon, which is based on like a book or something, I think. I don't know. I never played that one. I just got it in a lot at some point. It was made by Sierra, which is a bit of an OG callback for those of you that have been around in the gaming scene for a number of years. But yeah, I haven't played that one. Next up, we have Disneyland Adventures, which is another one that I played actually on Xbox One, and this is the one time where I'm okay with an Xbox game having a different case because it's the purple Connect cases. And even though, yes, it sticks out like a sore thumb in the collection, I feel like it's the one time where I can live with that, and I actually kind of like it because it calls back to a different time of Xbox and just gaming in general, where it was like during the Wii generation, we had like the PlayStation Move, the Connect from Xbox, and it was just really cool seeing these companies just do all this weird, quirky stuff. I remember going to my one friend's house back in elementary school, and it was like the latter years of elementary school. But he had a Connect there, and he had Star Wars as well as Connect Adventures. I think it was called Connect Adventures. But I remember there was like some cool like sport type games on that one, and then on Star Wars it was just really cool playing that because, you know, I've always loved Star Wars. Obviously, it's one of my favorite franchises of all time. But yeah, the Disneyland Adventures one I do remember playing on Xbox One. I don't really know of the Kinect capabilities of the game, or like, because it says on here that it requires a Kinect sensor, so I guess the Xbox 360 version is different because the Xbox One didn't require one. But it basically just lets you explore Disneyland or Disney World or whatever it's called, and it's pretty cool. I'm trying to remember what year it was when I played the Kinect. I think I was either 10 or 11. It was one of those, because I remember it was at the end, it was like towards the end of elementary school, so I want to say I was like 10 or 11, because my district had like a weird setup for the schools. So yeah, it's obviously, you know, I know Kinect kind of caught like, you know, some flack back then, but I definitely have a bit of a nostalgia bias towards that era of Xbox. Next up, we have Destiny, which Destiny is a game that I've always loved. My love for Destiny is more for the first game rather than the second game. The second game isn't bad, it's just that I have more love for the first game, just played it more and everything. I remember my mom actually surprised me with this game, because obviously, you know, this game was made by Bungie, same people that made the original Halo games, and she has always known that I love first-person shooters and was eyeing this one up. So, you know, she got it for me. I remember I came home from my dad's house and she just had it there for me. I was like, what the heck? So, you know, popped the disc into my Xbox 360, downloaded it and played it, and man, Destiny, so many fond memories of that game. And I remember I bought it on PlayStation 3, I'm gonna say a year ago, yeah, last year, and I went through and played through the story mode again. That was just a really fun experience going back in time. But yeah, I love Destiny. Now, next up, we have one that's a bit of an interesting tale. Actually, we just have a lot of these. We can just kind of bang out quick. There's another one I gotta grab. I gotta find it then. There's another. Oh, I see it. We'll get to it later. But anyway, we got a bunch of Call of Duty games. We got Call of Duty 3. We'll just kind of bang these out quick because, you know, it's Call of Duty. We already know what we're kind of talking about here. Modern Warfare. I gotta get a new case for that one. You see, you got torn at the top. That's unfortunate. Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty World at War. Also another one of these ugly cases that I hate on the side. Can't believe they did that. I can't believe you've done this. Isn't that like a meme or something from back in the day? I forget. Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops/Black Ops 2. If you can't tell, I order my games in the order that they came out in, like for the Call of Duty games specifically. That's how I remember them. I remember them in the order and the years they released in. Call of Duty Ghosts, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Now, Black Ops 3 is the interesting one, because obviously, if you know the history, Black Ops 3 on Xbox 360/PS3 was a very different game from the Xbox One PS4 counterpart. There was no campaign, it was multiplayer zombies only. It only got one of the DLCs, though arguably I'd say it was one of the best DLCs in the game, if not the best, in some people's opinions probably. It never got Zombies Chronicles, unfortunately. It did get the Giant in terms of zombies, but yeah, it was made by Beanox, wasn't even made by Treyarch. There's literally no Treyarch logoing on this, but here's the thing. I didn't get an Xbox One until 2016 on Infinite Warfare's launch date. I remember I pre-ordered the Legacy Edition of Infinite Warfare, so I had Modern Warfare Remastered and Infinite Warfare on the launch day of the game, and I got my Xbox One that same day. But my experience with Black Ops 3 at first was with the Xbox 360. I got to play it at my friend's house on, like, you know, his Xbox One, and, you know, like that. It was one of those things where I was okay with watching from afar, because at least I still had the game, and I was, you know, still able to enjoy the game, and, you know, obviously, even though it wasn't the same experience and it was made by a completely different dev team, I have a lot of love and nostalgia for that game. You know, it's funny to kind of, like, dunk on it in retrospect, but for somebody like me, because, you know, some people kind of look at it and they're like, oh, why'd they even make this? What a cash grab. But for me, somebody that grew up really poor, like, call it what you will. For me, it was still something that meant so much to me because Black Ops 2 is my favorite Call of Duty of all time. So the fact that I could even play Black Ops 3, like, it's almost bringing me to tears right now because, you know, it's hard to explain in words just what Black Ops 3 meant to me and what Black Ops 2 meant to me, because Black Ops 2, I remember, came out shortly after my parents' divorce. And it just got me through a lot of nonsense back then. And then Black Ops 3 got me through some really dark times in my life back then as well. And then once I got the game on Xbox One as well, I got it Christmas of 2016. I remember I got Black Ops 3 there finally and bought all the DLCs for it, and that was shortly after Zombies Chronicles came out. And yeah, man, Black Ops 3, even past its prime life cycle per se, got me through a lot of stuff, and I'll always love that game, even the Xbox 360 PS3 version of it, because the PS3 version I had at my dad's house, Xbox 360 version at my mom's. And I remember my dad sent me a picture of it because he went to the GameStop and picked it up. He got it on launch day. And then my mom, I'm pretty sure she said she literally got the last copy of it, because at first I wasn't sure if I was going to get it that day, if I was going to get it on launch day. But then I came home and was sitting there waiting for me, and I still have the picture archived on my old personal Instagram. I posted a picture of it, of like how my mom had it laid there just waiting for me, and I was just so excited. I love that game so much, even that version of the game. All right, we're making some way here. We made our way through one giant stack of games. Now we're on to the second one. So next up we got we do have a lot of games to go. Look, I know I said this earlier in the video, but I am going to try to pick it up just a little bit. I'm not going to rush through this by any means, but holy, I did it. I have a bit of a yapping problem. Okay, like I said, if this doesn't bother people, I don't have a problem making longer videos. Like, I will gladly just sit here and yap until the end of time, but, you know, I also just in case it annoys anybody, I want to be careful. Next up, we have Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, another game where I'm not sure what the overall reception is to this game, but I've always loved it. I remember there's this one move in the game where when you get into this, I don't even know what you want to call it, but they have this thing where you can sort of huddle up with the person you're fighting, and you start throwing blows with each other. And there's this one where you like punch his elbow, and the whole thing goes like upwards and backwards, like, and it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, it looks so gnarly. But I always thought the game concept was cool. You know, Mortal Kombat versus DC, Scorpion versus Batman, Joker versus Sub-Zero. Like, it's just some crazy matchups you can do in that game, and the story mode was so cool. And you had that one thing where you could knock somebody off the edge of the stage, and as you're falling in midair, you start, like, you know, trading blows and, you know, just flipping around and stuff. I love Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, man. That game's so cool. I'd love to see. I mean, we could technically get another crossover like that, you know, Injustice and Mortal Kombat. There's already been some crossover with the characters, so I mean, if they do another game like that, I think that'd be cool. Next up, we got Payday 2. It speaks for itself, man. Payday 2, I have a lot of memories with this game. I remember I actually didn't have the game for a while, and I had to play the demo of it, but even then, I played the heck out of the demo. Do you guys remember Xbox 360 and PS3 demos? I used to buy, and they were free. I used to download so many of those. I remember, like, Payday 2, Spec Ops The Line. I'm trying to remember, like, what other games off the top of my head had demos, but then there were some games that also had trials, like the Minecraft trial I played a lot until I actually got to get the full game for myself. And, yeah, so Payday 2 is one of those games where I remember playing the heck out of the demo because they let you do that initial bank robbery and just kind of like run around outside and stuff. And yeah, that was so cool. And by the time that I did finally get the full game, it was so worth it. It was so worth the wait. It was basically just everything I loved about that demo, but obviously a lot more, and a lot of different crazy heists, and finally getting to play with my friends and whatnot. Payday 2 was a really cool game. Unfortunately, I haven't even gotten to play Payday 3 yet. I'm not sure what the overall reception is to it, but I am looking forward to playing it at some point because I have it on my PS5. I just didn't get to play it yet. Next up, we have one of my favorite games of all time. Actually, a collection of some of my favorite games of all time, that being Plants vs. Zombies, Peggle, and Zuma. Zuma is probably my favorite puzzle-type game of all time, and Plants vs. Zombies is also just one of my favorite games of all time. You know, I feel like it's another situation where I don't need to say a whole lot here. It's Plants vs. Zombies. I played the second one a bit, but obviously it was mobile only, and I've never been... I mean, I used to be more of a mobile gamer, but I don't really do mobile games nowadays. It's not that I have anything against them. It's just that if I'm gonna play a game, I want to play like a, you know, like a substantial, you know, like I want to play like an Expedition 33 or like a Red Dead Redemption or even like the new Call of Duty or something, you know, like I want to play something with like some weight to it. And, you know, PvZ2 was cool and all, but, you know, if it was available on console or anything, I mean, that would have been just enough for me to play it more, probably, but it was also very monetarily driven, whereas PvZ was more built to be, like, a puzzle game story, kind of like, not a story, but, you know, like a complete experience. You just play it till the end, you beat it, roll credits, that's it, and it's just kind of cool getting to play through the game. Whereas PvZ2 was just like, alright, here's an endless supply of PvZ, like a live service PvZ game, so, you know, that's, you know, was what it was. And then PvZ3, I don't know, I've kind of heard mixed things about that, even though I don't, is it even out yet? I have no idea. But yeah, I always loved PvZ. And Peggle, I didn't play a whole lot if I'm being honest, but Zuma, if you know me, I've been playing Zuma since sometime in the 2000s. I remember I had this old cruddy computer, but my mom showed me Zuma. Again, I forget what year I first played it. It was probably like 2006 or 7 or something. It was early. It was like sometime in the 2000s, like early on. And yeah, it's like one of my first core gaming memories is playing Zuma. My first game of all time, as I always say, was Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo when I was 3 years old. I was tearing through there with Donkey and Diddy Kong, you know, like rolling around, jumping in that temple level that I always talk about. But Zuma's another one that was pretty early on. It's up there with like Lego Batman. Some of my other ones where it's like, it was Donkey Kong was the first game that I played and obviously fell in love with right there and then. Zuma was another one. Lego Batman was the first game where I really went through and like 100%ed it a couple years later. And yeah, there was just a lot of games like that, man. Kung Fu Panda, the Cars game and all that on my PS2. Love it. Next up, we got Prototype, which is a really cool game. And there is a sequel to this one, Prototype 2. I only have Prototype 1, but Prototype is essentially Infamous, but under a different name and with more action and destructibility. that's like the only way I can think of. It's also rated M, so, you know, there's more like intense themes in this game, I guess you could say. But basically, it's like an open world game where you have superpowers, and, you know, whereas Infamous is more about like being a hero or a villain, Prototype is just like, alright, let's mess some stuff up. It's like, let there be carnage. You know what I mean? I still gotta get around to picking up the second game, but Prototype 1 is definitely one that I can recommend. They did release I don't want to say necessarily like a remaster, but well, maybe it was a remaster. What year did this come out? It came out in 2000. Oh, okay, no, it came out in 2009. So yeah, the one that came out on PS4, Xbox One, and all that would have been probably like a remaster type version where, you know, higher resolution, higher frame rate, etc. But yeah, Prototype's really cool. Definitely one I can recommend, and it goes on sale pretty often. Next up, we got Red Dead Redemption, one of the best open world games of all time. I'm gonna say it, like, I love Red Dead Redemption 2, but personally, there's something about the vibes of Red Dead Redemption 1 that you just, nothing is like it. I'm not saying that that 1 is better than 2, or that 2 is better than 1, or that, you know, because they're not, it's not really a thing of, like, which one's better. It's just that they're different. Red Dead Redemption 2 has more of, like, a Western vibe, whereas Red Dead Redemption, it has that Western vibe, obviously, but it has, like, a hardcore, gritty Western vibe, in the same way that GTA 4 kind of has, like, that hardcore, gritty vibe. And I've always loved that about this game, man. It is just, it's not pulling any punches. It just is what it is. It had guts to have the ending that it did. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. One of the saddest endings in all of gaming, in my humble opinion. That messed me up, man. Messed me up pretty bad. And yeah, Red Dead Redemption is just an awesome game. It really is. Considering Rockstar's track record, it'll probably be like 13 years until we get another one. But I'll say, you know, it'd be worth the wait whenever that does end up coming out. Next up, we have another game that has always had a bit of a mixed reception, that being Resident Evil 6. Personally, another game that I've just always loved. Having the multiple campaigns in this game, being able to play as Leon, Chris, Jake, or Ada, and them all having their own, you know, like 5 to 7 hour campaign that you can go through, totaling for about 20 to 30 hours of gameplay, was really cool. It was like one of the longest Resident Evil games, and it wasn't even just like a copy-paste thing of like, oh, different character, same route. It was like completely different campaigns and different experiences where you had to play as each character in order to get the full sense of the story, and I always loved that. Graphically speaking, the game was insane on the PS3 and 360 as well. It looked like a next-gen game despite releasing on those consoles. It always looked so good. I love it. I love it so much. They also have a version that they released on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One that like upscaled it and you know, gave it a higher frame rate and whatnot. And I know this is going to be like a weird take of mine, but sometimes I prefer to play games like that at a lower resolution and a lower frame rate, just because it keeps the feel of the game intact. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm not saying that higher resolutions or frame rates are bad. I'm just saying that in the case of something like RE6, I almost feel like part of the grit and part of the awesome feeling of the game comes from that lower frame rate and part of that lower resolution, you know what I mean? It's sort of the same way that digital camera footage from 2009, in my opinion, looks happier and looks better than like modern day 4K camera footage, you know what I mean? Not saying that it necessarily is better objectively, it just feels better to look at. Next up, we got Spec Ops: The Line, which is one of the craziest shooters that I've ever played. It goes in some places that you would never expect, considering how the game starts, and it's a little on the nose at certain points, intentionally so. Later on, obviously I can't spoil that, but Spec Ops: The Line is such an amazing game, and if you haven't played it before, I know it's kind of hard to do so now because it got delisted and physical copies are like really expensive, but if you can ever find a way to get your handle on this game, or even if you just borrow it from a friend or something, dude, Spec Ops: The Line is such an incredible game. It is genuinely, like, when I say it's one of the best shooters I've ever played, like, just like even just in terms of the story, like, I mean that. Next up, we have one of the most expensive games in my collection, that being Spider-Man Web of Shadows, which is one of the best Spider-Man games, once again, in my humble opinion. I've been saying that a lot. My brain's a little fried. I was streaming for like 3 hours. It was like borderline 3 hours yesterday, and so, you know, my brain's still kind of recovering from all that. I still got a bit of yapping to do here. But I mean, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, it was kind of similar to Infamous, kind of like we were talking about earlier, where you had the choice to either be the hero or be the quote-unquote villain, between like Red Suit Spider-Man or the Black Suit Spider-Man, and let the symbiote take over, make all these evil choices and whatnot. And it's a bit... I've always loved how edgy the game is, and how, I mean, there's like, this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but the one choice you can make is literally ripping Wolverine in half, and they show his body laying there in 2 separate pieces. Like, it's crazy, just how far they kind of push the bar in this game. It's definitely nothing you'd ever see retold in like a story, in a movie. Which is kind of unfortunate, because if they would, they probably have to make it like rated R or something and make it a bit gory. But yeah, I've always loved this game, and the one I grew up with was actually the Web of Shadows Amazing Allies Edition, which was on the PS2 and the PSP. I didn't play the Xbox 360 PS3 version until later, but I remember watching YouTube videos of it all the time back then. But yeah, both versions of the games are great. Obviously, I have nostalgia bias towards that Amazing Allies Edition, which is like a 2D side-scroller beat-em-up, but obviously this is like the main flagship version right here, and yeah, fantastic game. Next up, we got Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, which is one of the best Star Wars games ever made. This tells the story of Starkiller. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, guys. I hate stuttering. It's just a mess. And I know I keep playing with my hair, but I play with my hair when I'm tired or when my brain's frying out. But anyway, this tells the story of Starkiller, both this game and then obviously the second game as well. And I've always loved the physics engine in this game too. They demonstrate it really well when the game first starts, you know, when you're playing as Darth Vader there, and you can kind of like knock the doors off of that one, what do you want to call it? Not necessarily like a temple area, but you know, there's like that one giant building, and just immediately like blow the doors off. You see all the enemies flying across the room, and then you have the cool effects where every time you slash a lightsaber against a wall, it kind of like leaves this haze of like lightsaber light or ash or whatever you want to call it across it, like that orange highlight, and it just looks so cool. I remember there was this one part in the game where you bring down this giant starship or whatever, and it's like this crazy QTE, and it's a really like just like huge part of the story. Again, that's not really like a spoiler or anything, it's just like a cool moment from it. The Star Wars: The Force Unleashed and also The Force Unleashed 2 are two games that I love. I know Force Unleashed 2, I don't think it got bad reception per se, but I know it was like a little more controversial, I believe. But I really love that game, and the final battle in that game was insane. I wish I had it in my collection, but I played it digitally on my... I played it digitally, so I don't have it physically yet, but I do want to remedy that and pick it up. That's one that I'm going to double dip on and get Force Unleashed 2 on Xbox 360, and then get Force Unleashed 1 and 2 on PS3, just so I can have it everywhere. It released on more platforms too. It was on like PSP and Wii and everything. So, you know, it was one of those games back then that got the treatment where it was released on a bunch of different platforms. Now, the next couple games weren't released on a bunch of different platforms. I'm just going to grab all of them at once, because we already talked about some of them earlier. There's actually another game I can talk... Here, let me talk about this one first. Gears of War. We also have Gears of War 2 in here. Let me just grab that now so we kind of knock that one out. Gears of War 1 and 2. Well, there's 1, 2, and then there's also 3 in Judgment. I have 3 in Judgment digitally. I actually have all of these games digitally, because they gave them away with gold, if you guys remember games with gold, like years ago, so I already have them. But, yeah, so I have them physically here, and Gears of War is such a unique game. Between the gore system, the story in the game, and the just overall gameplay feel, you know, when you're sprinting around the environment and the camera starts shaking violently, and then, you know, you get into cover, and, you know, you pop out and start shooting people and whatnot. It's a very unique gameplay loop, and it has such a unique feel to it that no other game has replicated, and that's just because Gears of War is such a unique concept, right? Where you're playing as these giant brutes and these giant muscular dudes. It's like one of the most masculine games ever made. I mean, look at these cover arts. This is like about as masculine can get. Like, people think they're all Sigma or Giga Chad or whatever the brain rot TikTok terms are nowadays with their jaw lines and their biceps or whatever. No, bro, this is masculine. This is Giga Chad. This is as, like, gnarly as it gets. But I always love these games, man. And like I said before, like when you start sprinting in this game, that's always been one of my favorite things about Gears of War. When you start sprinting, the camera starts shaking violently. It's like your characters are so muscular that they cause an earthquake with every step they take. And it's freaking, I love it. I love Gears of War so much. And the finishers are freaking crazy too. Like, they're so gory, you freaking like ripping your chainsaw through people and whatnot. Love Gears of War. And I gotta pick up Judgment and 3 physically. Like I said, I already played them, you know, in the past digitally, but you know, physical's where it's at, baby. Next up, we got Halo Reach, Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 3, and Halo 3 ODST. Let me just run through this quick. Halo Combat Evolved is my favorite Halo of all time. I don't like the Anniversary Edition because they messed up the art style and it just ain't the same. Just gonna put it as it is. The original art style is a million times better. But Anniversary is cool nonetheless. I know Master Chief has the option to switch between graphics. I don't know if Anniversary had that. If it does, that redeems it. If not, boo. Anniversary sucks. I'm sorry, it doesn't suck. It's the same game. It's just the art style sucks. The gameplay's fine. The art style sucks. They messed up that remake. They took all the life out of the art style. Then we got Halo 3 and ODST, which speak for themselves. Absolutely fantastic games. But then we have Halo Reach, which is personally my favorite Xbox 360 Halo game. I've always loved Reach between the story, you know, the multiplayer, the fire team modes and whatnot. I remember playing that. It was like the closest thing we had to COD Zombies, basically, at that time in Halo, and I remember playing that with my friends a lot, just like holding off against the waves of the Covenant and whatnot, and the story was always obviously really cool. I won't spoil anything, you know, I always try to avoid spoilers in these videos, but that ending is obviously iconic, and just the fact that it takes place before the first Halo game, so, you know, if you were to start playing Halo with this game, you know, it would be fine, like, chronologically speaking. Some people actually recommend that you play Reach before playing Halo 1. Personally, I'd recommend just anytime that there's a series, I recommend just playing games in release order, like the order that the game's actually released in. But if you want to go chronological, then yeah, Halo Reach is where it starts. And man, I gotta replay Halo Reach at some point. I might even like do a stream series on that, or like make a video series on that at some point. We'll see. Just because I love that game so much. I gotta do the same thing for Combat Evolved. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. Next up, we got GTA 5, which, you know, I don't really need to talk about, right? It's like the second best-selling game of all time, right behind Minecraft. GTA 5 is an absolutely fantastic game. I've always loved the story in that game as well. The multiplayer is really cool, you know, with like GTA Online and whatnot. I know it got a little controversial later on because of how expensive everything got, and, you know, I won't lie, I kind of fell off after, I don't know what year I fell off, and I kind of like fell off for a bit after like 2015, 2016. Maybe it was 2017, no, it was 2016, something like that, at the latest. More like 2015, I think. And then I came back in 2021, 2022 when I got my PS4 and started another account there. I played it again a little while ago on my PS5, like last year. But then, yeah, I just haven't really played it too much since. It's not that I don't like GTA Online, it's just that, you know, I already played the heck out of it back then, so, you know, at this point I'm just kind of locked and loaded. You know, I locked in on GTA 6 when that finally releases, and yeah, the story mode in GTA 5, like I said, I know it's not as, what's the word here? I don't want to say not as deep, but, you know, not as gritty or grounded, I guess you could say, as GTA 4's, but I've always still loved how it's, I guess, a bit more lighthearted in some instances, but still serious when it needs to be. I've always said how I find myself resonating with middle-aged, depressed, alcoholic men in video games, and this is probably a bad, you know, that considering Michael's character in the game, it's probably terrible to say out loud, but I do find that I resonate with Michael in a lot of ways just because of, like, his attitude and the way that he, like, kind of carries himself and whatnot, or at least I did at the time when I, like, played the game. But even still, like, you know, I still, You know, characters like him, or like Max Payne, or like Joel from The Last of Us, or Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs. You know, it's just like that inner lone wolf masculine side, where it's just like, you know, you kind of just like, no nonsense, you know, doesn't take crap from anybody, you know, that kind of thing. Because obviously my videos, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm some tough, bad A double dollar sign or nothing. But, you know, I do, obviously in videos, you know, I'm a bit more laid back. And obviously when I'm talking to my community and when I'm interacting with people in general, you know, I'm always really nice to everybody. But inside, you know, I do have those parts of me where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I guess you could say like a lone wolf or something like that, or just kind of like, life's put me through the ringer, so I don't really deal with nonsense, you know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at here. Next up, we got Call of Duty 2, which, you know, we already talked about some of the Call of Duty games earlier, but this game was really cool because it was the first Call of Duty on Xbox 360, and then, you know, the multiplayer was really cool in this game, and I remember even just a couple years ago, there were still people playing the online. I remember in, like, 2021, 2020, I think it was 2022, I was still able to find lobbies, which was crazy. I ended up, like, 1v1ing people and whatnot, but Call of Duty 2 is really cool, and I love the, campaign in that game, and, yeah, that was back before, obviously, we had, like, Modern Warfare and everything. That's when all the Call of Duty games were still World War II games. This was back before we had Sprint in the game, even. But yeah, Call of Duty 2 is really cool. And I recommend, you know, if you haven't played, like, Call of Duty Classic, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3, Finest Hour, Big Red One, all of that, I recommend trying those games out at least at some point, because it is cool just seeing those games in different ways. And also, another fun fact, if you didn't know, Black Ops 1 and the first 3 Modern Warfare games and World at War actually released on the Wii. Actually, no, Modern Warfare 2 wasn't released on the Wii, but Modern Warfare 1 and 3 were. They're basically the same games, but they're different at the same time. Black Ops 1 didn't get any of the Zombies DLCs, but it still had Kino der Toten and stuff. So it's just kind of cool seeing those games in a different context and playing the games with the Wiimote and everything. Just a little fun fact, fun bit of history for those that didn't know. Next up, we got Cabela's. These just being hunting games. We got Dangerous Hunts and African Adventures. They're cool. You know, you like hop in your Jeep, run around, and you know, hunt animals and whatnot. I love those games. They're cool. They're fun. I put a lot of time into African Adventures, actually. I remember when I first got that game. That game was a lot of fun. Next up, we got Borderlands. This is the only one that I have on physically, but I also obviously have, like, you know, all the other Borderlands games just on different platforms. I have Borderlands 2 on PS3, and then I have the Handsome Collection and Borderlands 3 on Xbox One, and I still got to get Borderlands 4 on PS5 here soon. I really want Borderlands 4, but I'm gonna wait for a little bit. For those that have seen my videos with Twinkle Toes, like the shorts and TikToks we made, and also that compilation we made, I promised her I'd wait to play Borderlands 4 until she got her PS5, which isn't until the end of November, so trying to stay loyal there and hold out. But yeah, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't killing me, because I want to play Borderlands 4 so bad, but for now I just kind of gotta wait. But hey, I'm the one that committed to waiting, so that's on me. Usually I play games like that by myself, but that was just the one time where I was like, alright, she's really excited for it, she wanted to play it with me, so I'll hold out and I'll do that one co-op. Alright, so moving on. We have a whole other stack of games here to go yet, by the way. Alright, so next up, we'll bang some of these out. We got a bunch of Battlefield games. Battlefield 3. We would have had Battlefield 4 here, but obviously I sold that one, like I said, which was really unfortunate. But yeah, Battlefield 3, probably my favorite. One of my favorite story modes or campaigns in a Battlefield game. It was just so good. It comes down, I don't know, man. All the Battlefield games are really great in terms of their campaigns for various reasons. Hardline was really unique with that cop show dynamic. Battlefield 4 was like World War 3. Battlefield 3 was just a really cool story of like, because obviously it opens up with like that interrogation thing, and I don't want to spoil where things go, but it just, that game was just, the story was so unique in that game, and graphically speaking, Borderlands 3, Battlefield 3 was just insane, dude. I remember seeing that game on the Xbox 360 for the first time and everything, and man, it just blew me away. Then Bad Company 1 and 2, some of my favorite first-person shooter campaigns of all time. You know, they're a bit more lighthearted, but they got a lot of charm, and I've always loved those games. I remember Bad Company 2. I played that game a lot back then, dude. Like, I played Bad Company 1 a good bit, but I mainly just played the campaign in that one. Bad Company 2, man, that's the one that I put a lot of time into, man. I love Bad Company 2. I got so many memories with that game right there. Batman Arkham Origins, a really underrated Arkham game. You know, it takes place before... Oh, I got, like, a weird... tag on it. I wonder if that'll come off. Yeah, there we go. It comes off, thankfully. I think I still got to get Arkham Origins on my PS3? Maybe? I think I already have it on that. I'm not sure. I forget. I went through and got like all the Arkham games on my PS3. Now I need to... Do I... Okay, yeah. Yeah, I have Arkham Origins. We're good. Anyway, sorry. Just had to double check that for a minute. But anyway, yeah, Arkham Origins, obviously, it's like a prequel to the other Arkham games, and it has different voice actors in the game, but nonetheless, if you haven't played Arkham Origins before, I do recommend giving it a shot, especially if you love the other Arkham games. I don't know if I necessarily recommend starting with this one. I'd probably say play the other 3 and then come back to Origins, just so you can get, like, the main Arkham experience and then experience this one, or just play it in release order, as I always say, if you have the means to do so. Arkham Origins is backwards compatible on Xbox One, but the only way to play it on PlayStation is, unfortunately, through game streaming on PS Plus, because it never got a native remaster or re-release on modern consoles in the same way that the other Arkham games did. So, you know, if you want to play this game, those are really the only ways to do it. You can also play it on PC. That is also an option. It goes on sale pretty often. But yeah, Arkham Origins is really cool. And the cutscenes in that game always looked really good, too. They were pre-rendered, so obviously, you know, they get upscaled. And, you know, depending on your display, they may look a little blurry nowadays compared to, you know, like natively in-game rendered cutscenes. Because I think they were rendered at 720p. I don't think they were 1080p. So, you know, that may vary. But even still, animation-wise, they look really good. Assassin's Creed 2. Played this game a ton back in the day. One of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. You know, if you know, you know. The Assassin's Creed games are fantastic. I would say my most played Assassin's Creed is probably, well, technically speaking, it would be Valhalla, just because that game was so long. But otherwise, like, the ones that I just, like, put a lot of time into, too, was, like, Assassin's Creed 4, also Assassin's Creed 2, as I just said, and the first Assassin's Creed game, man. Yeah, Assassin's Creed 2 is such a good game, and thankfully they've re-released that game now. You know, we got, like, the Ezio trilogy and everything. I know people kind of dogged on the Ezio trilogy at launch because some of the cutscenes were a little crazy looking, but they went through and fixed those up, so, you know, it's all good now. So you can play through 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, you know, that being the Ezio trilogy in order there on modern consoles and everything. Next up, we got Angry Birds Star Wars. What can I say? Love me some Angry Birds. I have that game on multiple platforms, believe it or not. It was a phone game back in the day, but I have it on my Xbox 360. I have it on my PS Vita. I think I have it on. I have one of the Angry Birds games on my Vita. I think I have I think Star Wars released on Vita. Might be wrong about that. But I also have it on my Wii U. I have Angry Birds on my Wii U. All right, we're on to the next stack of games. I told you guys, we're going on an hour here of me recording, and there's no end in sight. So yeah, let's just keep it rolling here. Actually, there is some filler in this pile, so we'll save us a little bit of time. So next up, we got Two Worlds, which, if you're a bit of an old head, you might remember this was deemed the Elder Scrolls killer. You guys remember that? Like the Oblivion killer? Yeah, well, nowadays, nobody really knows what this game even is. I bet if I hold it up, about 1 out of 100 of you will even know what Two Worlds is. But yeah, this was deemed like the Oblivion killer at the time, but obviously that didn't end up happening. That being said, Two Worlds was still a really cool game. It was really fun, and you should definitely still check it out if it's up your alley, you know, if you're into that stuff with, like, you know, Elder Scrolls type stuff with, like, swords and horses and dragons. And let me tell you something, I am a nerd. I am one of the most traditional nerds that ever nerded nerd. You know, nerd? Wow, my brain is giving out in real time. If you're sticking around this long, I love you, by the way. Kisses for you. Mwah, love you. But anyway, yeah, Two Worlds, man. Cool game. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Nerds. Me, nerd. Yeah, I'm very nerdy, man. Like, when I saw Dark Souls and I saw it had dragons and big swords and skeletons, I was like, that's my game. And then, like, Two Worlds and, like, Elder Scrolls and, like, Skyrim and stuff, I see dragons, I'm like, alright, that's my game. I'm playing game with dragon. So, yeah, Two Worlds is, like, one of them games, obviously, where it's, like, set around that time period, and it's pretty cool. You know another cool game? Dragon's Dogma. Just talking about dragons. I gotta get that on my 360 or my PS3 or something. I have it on my Switch, but, you know, I want to get that original version, just for nostalgia's sake. Off topic, but I also want to pick up Diablo 3 here at some point. Another game that I have on my PS4, but still just want to get, like, the original version of it. For either 360 or PS3. I don't have a bias. I'm just sort of like, alright, which console or which platform is this game more expensive on? And whichever one's cheaper, I'll probably just get it on that one, unless it's Bayonetta. Bayonetta is the one case where I'd say get it on 360 if you can, just because the PS3 version has like half the frame rate or something. But even then, if anything, there might be a conversation to be had about, well, it's a consistent 30 rather than the fluctuating 60 on 360. Fluctuating 60 on 360. Well, it's a funny sentence to say out loud. But, yeah, you guys know me. I don't really care. Like, you know, that's just one of those things where I'd, like, you know, maybe just warn somebody of that before they buy it. But otherwise, I couldn't care less about resolutions and frame rates and whatnot. I just want to play a video game. I don't care if I'm playing the version with the lesser resolution or the lesser frame rate. As long as I got a controller in my hand and I'm playing a video game, I'm happy, you know? Next up, we got Thor: God of Thunder, which came out during that time where we were still getting movie tie-in games for like superhero games and whatnot. I want to get that Captain America game yet. That released around that time, Captain America Super Soldier. But Thor: God of Thunder was really cool. It's like a God of War type game. Thor: God of Thunder is basically like God of War, whereas the Captain America game was basically like a Batman Arkham game of a Captain America. I think that one goes for a good bit nowadays, though, so I should probably get on that sooner rather than later. But yeah, that game's really cool. It had multiple versions, too. You had that, and then it was also on, like, the Wii and the 3DS and all that. It was also on mobile, believe it or not. I bought that, and I had it on my iPod Touch back then. Next up, we got The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. Another game that got dogged on, but personally, I love Survival Instinct. Maddie, if you're watching this, you know, I don't know what your opinions are on this game. You're like the ultimate Walking Dead fan, so you can yell at me if I'm wrong or agree with me if I'm right. But, you know, obviously it's just my opinion. But personally, I love this game. I beat it multiple times, and I genuinely have a lot of fun with it. So, you know, Maddie, I'm sorry if that's slander in the Walking Dead community, but personally, I love that game. And getting to play as Daryl, who's one of my favorite characters in The Walking Dead, it was really cool. And obviously it takes place earlier on in the series, so, you know, there's like some of those, some of the early charm of Walking Dead in there. I didn't really see much after Season 5. I saw the beginning of Season 7, unfortunately. You know, if you know, you know. Won't spoil it, but very sad indeed. But in terms of like what I watched consistently, I watched up to Season 5, and I didn't see anything after that, unfortunately. It's not that I got turned off from the show or anything, it's just I literally just never got around to watching the rest of it yet, so I still got to get around to doing that. The last time I watched it was back in like 2014, 2015, I want to say maybe, so yeah, it's been a minute. Wait, maybe it was a bit later. No, that was already 2014, 2015, something like that. But yeah, I gotta go back and finish that at some point. They have a bunch of spin-offs too now that I need to catch up on. Next up, we got The Sims 3, which, Maddie, if you're still watching the video, I bet your girlfriend would get a kick out of this freaking game, man. TLDR, Maddie, he's one of my mods on Discord and, you know, watches the content a lot. His girlfriend has like 10,000 hours on The Sims 4, and keep in mind, just about 2 months ago, she only had 7,000 hours in it or something, or it wasn't 2 months ago, it was a little bit longer than that. It was like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. It's still, it's insane. She plays that game a lot, and yep, I have The Sims 3 on Xbox 360, and I will admit, I played this one a good bit back then as well. It's a fun game. I do like The Sims, but 10k hours and still playing it that much consistently, that's just, I'm not dissing, I'm respecting. Like, gamer to gamer, I respect that. You have my utmost respect. That's amazing. Next up, we got The Godfather, which unfortunately I have a GameStop case for, but I already kind of talked about this game earlier. You know, it's a really cool open world game based on the first Godfather movie. You get to create like your own custom character and play through the events in the place of certain characters throughout certain parts of the movie. And yeah, I replay that game annually. I usually replay it on my PS2 because my Xbox 360 disc is a little messed up. I gotta get a new version of the game, but yeah, really cool game. Another game I gotta buy soon is Deadpool. I know I'm just rattling off random games that I need to buy, but again, we're at that point in the video where my brain's zonked, so all I can think about is buying things. It's when I get tired, I make bad financial decisions, so Lord help my wallet after this video's over, as I'm thinking of all the games I need to buy. But Deadpool, the Xbox One PS4 version is more expensive, but the PS3 360 version is a bit more reasonably priced, and yeah, I've had my eye on the 360 version for a while, so I still need to go pick that one up. Next up, we got NHL 14, cool. It's a hockey game. It's an EA Sports game. You know, you play one, you play them all. I'm not dissing, you know, like sports games or whatever. You know, like I played Madden 16 and NBA 14, or no, I think it was 2K12. Yeah, 12. I played a good bit back then, but you know, it's just like there's not much to say. It's just like a sport in video game form. And if you guys know me, I don't really do sports. I like sports when I play them as a video game. Like I'd rather play Madden than watch football. But, yeah, you know, I just don't play them a whole lot, if I'm going to be honest, because I mean, it's also just a thing of I don't understand sports. Like, I don't know, football, I said this in my one stream, it's sort of like racism, right? You got, like, two teams that are different colors trying to get to the end of each other's homelands, and you have, like, all these different yards, and people screaming something about, like, 7th down or something. Like, I don't understand what all these things mean. And I don't really care to understand, if I'm going to be honest. I'm not dissing football or football fans, I just don't really care. Next up, we got Need for Speed Rivals. Actually, it would be kind of cool. Could you imagine, like, maybe if I learned, because I'm pretty, like, good with money and betting and, like, learning about things pretty quickly. I could, like, learn about sports and then start betting and become, like, a millionaire overnight or something. I'll like, bet on the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and then I'll win, like, $1 million. I think that'd be pretty cool. If I ever win $1 million, I'll do like some massive giveaway. I'll give each of my subscribers like $5 or something. That should equal $1 million eventually. Or yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. I'm so sorry. It's a lack of sleep and it's a bit of the deteriorating brain. What can I say? The brain cells are escaping me. If I even had any to begin with. Next up, we have another beat-up GameStop case, that being Need for Speed Rivals, and this game was pretty cool. I do remember playing that a good bit. That one was actually my brother's. There is a few games in this collection where some of them... I think it was just, actually, it was Spider-Man Web of Shadows and then this game. Web of Shadows actually always, even from the time he got it, like, he played it and he enjoyed it, but just with me being, like the no-life gamer I am, I obviously always ended up playing, you know, it more, and then, like, Need for Speed Rivals as well. He played that game a ton, but then once he got, like, an Xbox One, and, you know, then he moved in, you know, with his dad and everything, then he ended up just kind of like giving me his 360 games and whatnot. So yeah, that's one of those that I have, and I know there was an Xbox One version of it, but I played the 360 version specifically. But that was a good Need for Speed game. Ice Age: Dawn of Dinosaurs. This is like a cool movie tie-in game. I always loved like the Ice Age games. They have another one on PS4 called Ice Age Scrat's Nutty Adventure. Scratty, is it Scratty's Nutty Adventure or Scrat's? I think it's Scrat's Nutty Adventure. That one's cool too. I love movie tie-in games on like 3D platformers and stuff like that. Next up, we got Forza Motorsport 4. You know, I've loved Forza Motorsport. Really good racing games. I didn't get to play the new one yet because I don't have a new Xbox. I still have an Xbox One X, but I've seen Series S's for like $150. I wanted to get a new Series X, but $650 for that, I don't know, man. Like, so many of the games are going to PS5 anyway. Like, if I was to buy it, they would need more exclusives probably, but at this point, I think I'm just going to invest in the Switch too and get a Series S, if anything. I'd prefer to get a Series X for the disc version, but I don't know. We'll see if they get like a good Black Friday deal or something at some point. We got Dance Central here. Couldn't tell you anything about it. Haven't played it. I don't play dancing games that much because I can't dance to save my life. The most I can do is the floss from Fortnite. Next up, we got... Isn't the floss actually from, like, TikTok or something? Because I'm pretty sure there was a couple of those dances in TikToks where... or dances in Fortnite where they originated from, like, TikToks or Vine or something like that, and then they made their way into Fortnite. You guys remember Vine? I miss Vine. Vine was so much better than TikTok, I'm just gonna say it. TikTok's better for discoverability and overall content creation, but in terms of the memes that came out of it, Vine memes were peak. Next up we got Lego Marvel Superheroes, Lego Movie, Lego Star Wars, and Lego Star Wars 3. You already know, I love the Lego games. They're amazing. And as I mentioned earlier, Lego Star Wars Complete Saga is one of my favorite Lego games, right behind Lego Batman, the first one. Just fantastic games. I love it. And, yeah, Lego Marvel Superheroes, I remember that game being really cool at the time, because growing up, I was always like, just imagine if we had like a Lego game with like Spider-Man or, you know, like even just any of the other Marvel heroes, and then it finally happened with that, and then we got like Marvel Superheroes 2, then we got Lego Avengers, and it was just like a dream come true just seeing all that. I love seeing my favorite IPs in Lego form. Next up we got Lost Planet, which is actually a Capcom game for those that didn't know. It's one of the more low-key Capcom games, but the Lost Planet games are really cool. It's a cool series of games. I recommend trying them out if you haven't. There's 3 of them, Lost Planet 1, 2, and 3. They're also backwards compatible. They are on the on Xbox One, so you can play them that way. They might have been re-released on PS4, but if not, I believe they may be on there through game streaming as well. I will say, even though I diss game streaming, it has come a long way in recent years, and honestly, playing PS3 games through streaming on like PS5 or PS4 nowadays almost feels native. Like, it literally is almost indistinguishable from native play if you have a good connection, which, you know, I have fiber internet, so, you know, that might be subjective on my end, but yeah, it has come a long way. And I don't think the requirements for it are as high as you think either. Especially for PS3 games, since they're lower quality overall. Like, you know, it's not like you're pushing 4K PS5 streaming. It's like 1080p, 720p, you know, 30 to 60 FPS and whatnot. And but yeah, next up we got Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Forza Motorsport 2. Forza Motorsport 2 is rad, and then Ultimate Alliance. I've talked about this game many times before. I love Ultimate Alliance. It's essentially like a RPG in the vein... Oh, my case is broken. I gotta get a new one. There's like a little crack at the bottom. But it's RPG in the vein of like... I don't want to say Diablo because it's not like a looter type game like that, but I just mean in terms of the camera perspective and the hack and slash, beat 'em up, hack and slash type action, you know, where it's like really, you know, fast and punchy and satisfying, and then you level up your characters, and it's from that top-down perspective. They got Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. They were delisted from Xbox One and PS4 for some reason. You can still find them out in the wild for those consoles, but also on Xbox 360 and PS3, and also on, like, they released it on a lot of consoles like PS2 and Wii as well, and PSP, believe it or not. And then, and it was basically the same game, surprisingly, on the PSP. That was one of those miracle ports. But then Ultimate Alliance 3 was exclusive to the Switch for some reason, and I don't know if it's ever come to any other consoles. It might still be exclusive to Switch, might be wrong about that, but yeah, I do remember that one being exclusive, which was kind of unfortunate since it started out as a multi-platform game, but if anything, that was probably due to, like, you know, licensing or, budgeting? I don't, what's the word that I'm thinking here? Like funding or whatever, or like a deal or something that maybe Nintendo did with them. Sorry, my brain has finally escaped me. Next up, we got Max Payne 3. As I said before, really resonate with Max Payne. Just love his character, love the story. All the Max Payne games are great, but if I'm going to be honest, Max Payne 3 is my favorite just because of how gritty the story is, and it goes in some pretty crazy directions. I love Max Payne 3. It's another one that I had on Xbox 360 and also PS3 back in the day at my mom's and my dad's because I love the game so much that I had to keep playing it. And the multiplayer in the game was really cool as well because you had like the slow-mo diving and all these crazy things you could do there as well. And the multiplayer was actually pretty alive for a while. I don't even know if the servers are still online nowadays. If anything, they might be on PC. I don't know if any of the official servers are still online, but I'm sure there's probably like, you know, private servers somebody has made, you know, how people do that, how they make clients for games like this, or like how Black Ops 2, for example, has Plutonium and whatnot. But yeah, Max Payne 3's multiplayer is pretty cool. I miss that era of single-player games that just had randomly shoehorned multiplayer modes in them, where they weren't trying to be a live service, they weren't trying to be the next big thing. It was just like, alright, here's a single-player game, and here's just some random multiplayer mode you can have fun with if you want, like Max Payne 3, Tomb Raider 2013, Bioshock 2, those are just some of the examples that come to mind, just some really cool multiplayer modes there. Next up, we got Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition. You know, if I'm going to be honest, the original, like, legacy console editions of these games, Wii U, Xbox 360, PS Vita, PS3, etc., that's my favorite version of Minecraft. You know, the new Bedrock version is cool and everything, but this, to me, just feels the most like Minecraft. Because between Bedrock and Java, I prefer the feel of Java just because that feels more like classic Minecraft to me and just more like Minecraft. Bedrock's still cool, too. I still play it, obviously, on, like, my PS5 and everything. But in terms of my ideal Minecraft version or my favorite version, it would be Java, but especially more so, like, you know, like these legacy console editions that are still on older versions of the game. Because for me, there's kind of like this thing where it's like the older the Minecraft version, the better for to a certain extent, right? Like once you get into that like beta period, like somewhere in beta, that's usually like my favorite era of Minecraft to play. Also a little bit of time after 1.0. Just everything up until the combat update, basically. Like anything from the combat update or before, because that's when like Minecraft really started to change. You know, not that I really have any major problems with the changes they made over the years. It's just that, you know, you just classic vibes. What can I say, man? Like, if you know, you know. Classic Minecraft just it just hits different. But yeah, I do got to catch up on a lot of the modern Minecraft updates though, because they have. I saw something about the Copper Age. I don't know if that's a new update or if that was just like a store thing they were advertising. But I know they constantly have new updates coming to the game, so there's probably a lot that I'm missing out on, man. Like, did y'all know Minecraft has, like, pandas and bees and, like, all these different biomes now? Like, all that stuff was new to me, and I only found it out recently, because I started, like, a Minecraft realm and whatnot, and I was, like, playing on there, and, you know, like, Twinkle Toes, for example, me and her were playing, and she's, like, showing me all this stuff, and I was like, what the heck, and we were, like, exploring underwater, and there's all these biomes underwater, even, I'm like, what the heck, there's all this crazy stuff now, there's all these, like, mobs you can fight and stuff, and it's just, Minecraft's come a long way, so, you know, I should probably get out of my boomer ways, because usually when I play Minecraft, I'm still playing those older versions, so, you know, I should probably get out of my boomer ways and just catch up on all the updates, see what I've been missing out on, and yeah, but anyway, then finally we got Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, which is Mortal Kombat 9. Just doing a bit of a brow wipe here as I lean onto my stacks of games over here, as you can see. I got 3 stacked, 1, 2, 3, and then there's the other stack over there that we just got through. Yeah, I don't want to lean on them too much. I don't want to, like, bend the cover art or hurt the disc or anything now that I think of it. Let's do a little arm across the edge there. But yeah, Mortal Kombat 9, it's kind of like a soft reset for the Mortal Kombat series. This is Complete Edition, which has, like, Freddy Krueger, and, like, other cool characters in it. So let's see, 4 new characters, Freddy Krueger, Scarlet, yeah, that's right, Scarlet. I knew her name was Scarlet, I just didn't want to say it and sound stupid if it was wrong. Freddy Krueger, Scarlet, Rain, and Kenshi. Yeah, Kenshi's cool, I always loved him. I remember in the Mortal Kombat X mobile game, I had, like, I think it was the possessed variant of him, and he had a bunch of crazy moves, and X-rays, like fatalities you could do and stuff, and it was just crazy looking. But yeah, that was another game that had a cool PS Vita port of it, similar to Injustice. I forget if I mentioned that earlier. But yeah, both this game and Injustice had cool Vita ports, and that's how I actually end up playing the game mostly nowadays, because I just like pop out my Vita and just, you know, run a match or two or whatever, run through the story mode, and it's just cool playing those games in that form factor. Another fun fact, Dead or Alive 5 is on PS Vita. That was actually like one of the first fighting games that I beat the story mode on my PS Vita. And yeah, it's really cool. Say what you will. You can say that I like Dead or Alive just because of reasons, in which you would be entirely correct. Yes, that was part of the reason why I started playing Dead or Alive, but the gameplay is genuinely just that fun. And similarly, like Oni-chan Bara, I was talking about this on stream the other day. Actually, that was yesterday from the time you're recording this, sorry. The other day, same difference. I started playing it for one reason, but the game, I mean, I started playing it because of the gameplay too, but then it was just one of those things where, like, both reasons why I started playing the game were, you know, both completely justifiable. And the game's just, you know, genuinely a lot of fun. But anyway, yeah, wow, my brain is so overstimmed right now that I can't even keep my eyes open. Isn't that insane? So, there it is. There's my entire Xbox 360 collection. If you want another collection video like this, and if you want, oh, I just got a low power or low battery warning. Hopefully that didn't cut out the video right there. But, yeah, so if you guys want me to go more in depth about some of these games and talk about these things more, I can do that. Because I know I kind of skimmed over some things here instead of giving, like, an in-depth review for all the games like I, you know, could have. But, yeah, so that's about it. That's the end of the video. Anyway, as always, massive shout out and thank you to all the patrons and channel members. Thank you to all you in the low baller tier, and an even bigger shout out and thank you to all you in the big baller tier. Last King and Big Daddy Maddie, and the biggest shout out and thank you to all you in the G tier, Run of Vengeance, Low Cheese Girl, and Script. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literal legends. I love you. Goroni Radoki arigatou gozaimasu. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace. Dude, I need a nap now. It's 8 in the morning, dog, and I started prepping this recording at like 6 something, and now it's, oh man, it's been a minute. Okay, yep, I'm gonna go prop my feet up for a minute before I start editing this. Alright. Good night, y'all, or good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Thank you for watching. Mwah, I love you. Have an amazing day. Peace.